Hey everyone, Nukin here and welcome back. I wanted to do a quick little video kind of breaking down some of the raid reward changes that was posted the other day from CG Carey, one of the producers. I'll link it in the video description if you guys want to read it yourselves. There is a TLDR version for people with short attention spans and there's a longer version, so if you want to read that, I'll link it in the video description. I'm going to be breaking down some of this info and speculating about a few things. Hopefully this video is helpful, and if it is, give it a thumbs up and let's get talking about some of these changes. Alright, so let's break down the changes to the rewards in the Sith raid. So first off, they've removed all of the challenge gear from the prize boxes. So there were pieces that some people had thousands of. Me personally, there were some pieces that I was approaching 4,000 pieces of, and so they've removed the opportunity to acquire those pieces from the prize boxes, except for the most difficult challenge gear like MK3 Kerbantes that we need a bunch of. So overall, that was a very positive change. Now the current drop rate for getting a full piece, or what I like to call it a unlock of a Gear 12 piece, is at around 100%. And so they for a day changed it to drop to 40%, and people got upset because you're taking stuff away from them, and it makes sense. They're going to roll back that change in a few weeks. They stated back to 100% and compensate everyone, but they're looking at potentially dropping the rate down to 40% in the month of May when they unlock the capability of acquiring the new Gear 12 pieces. There's going to be 2 new Gear 12 pieces that we can't acquire yet, though that will be exclusive to the Heroic Sith raid at first. So it makes sense to lower the drop rate of the new Gear 12 pieces to something lower than 100%. You want the new gear to be harder to acquire. You want people to be able to make difficult resource management decisions and choose a path, and you want people to choose multiple paths so everyone isn't doing the exact same thing. That's part of what makes this game interesting. But is lowering the drop rate to something at 40% probably too low? Probably. Should it be higher? Probably. I'm not exactly sure if that's 50 to 60, 70, 80%, somewhere around there. Somewhere higher than 40 but less than 100% is probably the sweet spot. Currently with the current system, you're getting about 13 Gear 12 pieces per month. If you're in a heroic raid, you're participating at the highest level, and you're also in a very strong guild, you can get about 13. If you're not in any of those things, you're going to be getting a little bit less, so subtract 1 or 2 pieces per month for that. Keep in mind that you're getting, every 2 months, you're going to be getting an extra 1 or 2 Gear 12 pieces because there are decimal points to some of these numbers. And so with the potential change at 40%, that'll be reduced by 3, and you'll get about 10 Gear 12 pieces per month, which equates to about 60% gear will come from the currency that is awarded to you. So you're losing some element of surprise to gain some consistency. I know a lot of people like to get surprised from opening up the prize boxes, but I've also experienced the complete 180 of that, where I open up a prize box and I get absolutely nothing. So there is a give or take. There is a element of surprise loss, but you are gaining some consistency. So overall, in the long term, you will probably be happier because you'll have higher geared characters. So hopefully I didn't make any glaring math errors. I did do everything really fast. Here's the guild event store where you can actually buy some of the Gear 12 pieces. I think it costs you like 6,000 currency to make a full piece, and you get the currency from participating in TB and participating in the raids, etc. So you get around 30 to 35,000 currency per month, I believe, and so you can buy some of the Gear 12 pieces from there. You know, you can also make sure that your guild is participating and doing these special missions. If all 50 guildmates get this, you get 400 from this and 450 from this, because you multiply 9 times 50, and that's what you get there. Phase 3, you get shards. Phase 4, it just accelerates from there. In the later phases, I believe it's 20. Yeah, 20 here. In the later phases, goes up to 25 or 30. Here's 25. And I think 30 in the last phase. So make sure you're getting more currency by having your guildmates beat these missions. So the question becomes, should you farm or should you hoard? Should you farm up characters like Hermit Yoda and Wampa? Should you farm up Gear 12 pieces, or should you be hoarding your precious currency for something better? So let's kind of think about it and review what we know, maybe speculate a little bit about what may happen in the future, and trying to make a educated, logical decision about our resources. So let's kind of review Wampa and Yoda first. So Hermit Yoda and Wampa, to 7-star them, you're going to need 330 character shards. And it actually comes down to about 90,000 currency from scratch to go to basically 7-star. So what you can do, and you can save some currency on Hermit Yoda because you do get some of his shards from achievements. But what you can do is basically times 270 about the amount of shards that you need, and you can figure out how much currency remaining you need to wrap up one of these projects. Is it worthwhile to 7-star Hermit Yoda if you haven't done so already? I would say maybe not, because eventually the new Gear 12, which is going to be exclusive to the Heroic Sith raid, will become more accessible in other areas of the game. And one of the places that we already get Gear 12 is this same store, the Guild Event TB store. So I would suggest that, 2 to 3 months come after May that'll enter the TB store, or maybe even sooner. So you can save up. If you start saving up and hoarding right now, you can probably get about 125,000 currency from that speculated time point. So you can think about, basically, is it going to be worthwhile to hoard up this much resources? And so as soon as the new Gear 12 pieces enters the store, you can buy a bunch of it and maybe get an advantage in some way. So that's something that you could potentially do. The new Gear 12, it could be overpowered. Some of the new Gear 12 pieces don't have all the stats that are in the game. For example, some pieces of gear have speed on them, and you can look at all the new Gear 12 pieces that we have now don't have any speed. What if some of the new Gear 12 pieces have speed? Well, that's going to be great, because speed is king in Arena and basically all of the game modes, so that could be very strong. Some of the other pieces in Gear 12 give you huge amounts of HP, like one of them, the med pack, gives you 6,000 plus HP. Think if we had a piece that gave you 10,000 plus HP, almost double that. That's going to be very good, probably. So there's going to be new Gear 12 pieces that could potentially be very strong and maybe worthwhile investing. Now let's pause for a second and think about a character that you've maxed Gear 12, and then compare that to that character when he was just Gear 11 or Gear 12 with no pieces on him. So let's think about like maybe Commander Luke. Commander Luke gets health steal and potency and damage and health, and he's basically almost like a brand new character or a Zetaed version of himself when you've maxed out all his gear. So you can basically speculate that the new Gear 12 pieces will be as strong as the old Gear 12 pieces, or even better. I'm thinking better. And if they're better, 2 new Gear 12 pieces will be stronger than 3 of the old Gear 12 pieces. So, in all of the modes that you're in, if they're on your arena team, they're going to perform better. If they're doing in the raids, they're going to do more damage. If you're in territory wars, you're going to have to pay attention to some of the characters, because not all characters are going to be Zetaed or geared up. So it's going to change things for sure. So I think that it's probably going to be very useful to have some of these new Gear 12 pieces. Something that's going to be happening in the near future is people are going to be unlocking Traya and running a Darth Traya Sith team. Well, everyone's going to kind of want to do that if they're in the heroic Sith raid farming mode and they're acquiring her shards. What if one team has Gear 12, the new Gear 12 pieces, and another one doesn't? Well, it'll help you in that mirror match. Your team will be stronger than another person's team. So there's a lot of factors that you have to think about. Is it worth it to have a 7-star Hermit Yoda, or is it better to have maxed out characters that you're using frequently? the way that I put it there, it sounds like it's better to have the max new gear 12, but we don't know what it is yet, so we can only speculate. But something to keep in mind, because you can only save so much currency at a time, and if you can only save around 100 to 130 currency, you only have so much to work with, and you don't want to be caught with your pants down. So now let's kind of review about whether things are good or bad, or maybe they don't even matter. Who knows? Let's talk about who's taking a hit, who's getting some improvements. Overall, everyone is getting an improvement, and there's no more challenge gear in the rewards, which is a good thing. That means even though we may be getting less gear, we're getting better gear overall, so that's a plus. We know that the top players at the very top of the heroic Sith raid, they're taking a small hit because they're not getting as much of a compensation in this form of the guild store currency and the TB store currency to compensate for a potential lowering of that drop rate. We do know that players at the bottom are also getting more currency overall, and so those guys are going to be doing a little bit better. So overall, as a guild, your guild should progress at a faster rate, and so your guild should perform better in basically all of the other game modes. So some of the newer game modes that are coming out are, there's going to be a PvE, kind of similar to a light side and dark side ship content mode, and so you have more gear 12 to put on your pilots, which makes your ship stronger. You have more gear to put on your characters that are, going to perform better in territory battles, so your guild's going to do better there. You're going to have higher GP in your guild and improve faster there. You're going to have more GP, which is basically the bottleneck of getting the highest amount of stars in territory battles in the first place, is galactic power, because there comes a point where you're already acing all the missions, you're getting 4 out of 4 or 6 out of 6, and so you actually just need raw GP. And so by getting more rewards overall as a guild, you're going to be improving there and getting more rewards. Eventually there's going to be a new territory battle probably, or a new raid, and so if the guild overall is progressing more uniform, then you're not going to have to kick out some people because they're not progressing as fast, because there can only be one first place, one second place, one third place. There's going to be other players, even if you have 50 of the strongest players in the world, you can't all share first place rewards. Overall, I like most of the changes that have been made. I like that we're going to be getting more consistent rewards, that they removed the challenge gear. We're getting more currency, so we can actually depend on getting a consistent amount of gear 12. I like that we're getting new gear 12 pieces next month. I like that the guild will progress more uniform, so you don't have to feel bad about kicking a player from your guild who isn't progressing as quickly as someone who's getting first place rewards, because that just doesn't make sense. And the only way that the guy at the bottom of your guild is going to progress is if they actually put money in the game, because by default they're not getting the same rewards as the people at the very top. So overall, I do like most of these changes. I think the only thing that needs to be changed is just fix the drop rate. Please don't make it 40%, make it higher than that, and I think everyone will actually stop complaining and realize that most of these changes are actually very good. It's just that drop rate is just a little bit too low, especially that we've been accustomed to that 100% drop rate, and everything was caught, we got caught by surprise and a little bit blindsided there. So I think the drop rate should be higher than 40%. Keep the removal of the challenge gear rewards. That's great that the new gear 12 is going to be exclusive to the heroic Sith raid, and it's going to be pretty cool if they make it accessible in some of the other stores that are still kind of free to play. The guild event TB store, you can't just purchase currency. So as long as you kind of have this new sort of meta shifting resource management interesting experience where everyone, whales and free to play, can kind of have a small moment where you can kind of have to make some difficult decisions. Eventually the gear 12 pieces, the new gear 12 pieces, will be sold for crystals, and the whales will just broaden that gap from the free-to-play players, and that's going to be inevitable. But I do enjoy these short kind of moments in time where there's a 1 or 2 month period where the free-to-play players can kind of actually challenge some of the whales. And that may be a little bit concerning if you're a whale and you're hearing that, but that is, even as a whale, I mean, I have put money in the game. I don't consider myself a whale, but it is an interesting moment when everyone is on a level, similar playing field. So I think it's time to wrap up because I've been going on for too long. I'm starting to ramble. I intended this video to actually just be a quick 5-minute video, and here we are at 15 minutes. So I'm going to wrap up and let you guys go on with your day. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Hopefully you found it to be informative and eye-opening, and if you did, give it a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments below what you're thinking. If you have any feedback, I am always looking to improve and how I can deliver some of this content for you guys. Let me know, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Cheers.